My name is Lucas Swart. I'm a white Afrikaner from South Africa. The South African president visited the American president in May 2025, and the new global debate arose about farm attacks in South Africa. Is it real? Is it genocide? Isn't it genocide? And I think it's now more or less 44 years since my first farm attack, which I experienced on my own farm 44 years ago. And I've got almost 40 years extensively where I only worked on farm attacks, trying to understand what the origin is, where does it come from, who controls it, how does it happen. And I can say a few things. Rob Hersov has a lot to say, very interesting statistics, but unfortunately he doesn't know the South African history. And that is a problem, because one of the things he said that in the old South Africa, the black people had a substandard school, which is bullshit. Blacks like Mandela, President Mbeki, all went through the old South African schools. They qualified for universities, and they study at universities, even international universities. So no, the blacks didn't have a substandard. But the problem actually started with the British after the colonialization of Southern Africa. And after 1902, when they finally defeated the Boers and then started to oppress South Africa. One of the laws which they brought in was that a black child, when he or she becomes 12 years old of age, they must get out of the home. And that resulted in a population explosion. Before that, there wasn't a population problem in South Africa. The blacks and the whites were almost the same quantities. But creating this population explosion was a problem. First problem. So by 1950, 5 times more blacks were born annually than whites or Indians or Khoisan coloreds. And that was also the beginning of the revolutionary phase. In hindsight, I would say that was the basis to create the cannon fodder for the fight to come. Late 1970s, in the 1970s, they instigated the children to burn down their schools. And they burn down their schools till today in the new South Africa. A generation, or actually 2 to 3 generations of a population which does not have any knowledge to help themselves. They don't have the ability to get good jobs. They can't create their own jobs. And 60% of the black population in South Africa today does not even know who their parents were. No, they know who the mother, but they don't know who their father is. 60%. And those 60% want to tell us what happened 200 years ago. They can't even remember their own father. And this is the problem. They can be easily manipulated with rhetoric. Rhetoric like the Afrikaners stole the land.
People, you who stay here in South Africa, I want to tell you something. Take it from me, the new generation of black South Africans. You white people are not the backbone of anything. Do you hear me? This is my country. This is my country. When you came here, you found me here. Do you understand? You are not the backbone of anything. You just came here with your own ways of doing things. But I actually taught you everything that you know. I am the one who taught you about agriculture. I'm the one who taught you farming. You did not know anything about farming because you did not have any animals in UK where you come from.
The Afrikaners stole nobody's land. What happened in Africa happened and still happening. And tribes killing each other. The moment when one tribe gets too close to another tribe, that's war. And they won't stop before they at least try to wipe out the opposition. So what they did is that the tribes created no man's lands between them. Huge areas of no man's land. And the Boers, after 1652, shortly after 1652, they moved up on the western side of Southern Africa up to where Namibia is today. But since 1700, 1720, they also moved to the western side northwards. Now the Great Karoo is about 40% of the landmass. So the Boers Afro-Afrikaners, they settled mostly in the Karoo and then moved further north into the no man's land areas, where they negotiated with the monarchs on those sides, on the tribe captains and kings, especially the kings, on both sides of the no man's land, to occupy the no man's land. And they also bought it from the king. The tribes did not use it, they would not use it because that was a dangerous area for them. And the Afrikaners were then in a position to become a buffer between the different tribes. No land was stolen. After the gold and the diamond rush, all these, and also the English occupation. The occupation of Southern Africa by the British resulted in one thing. And that was that the people of South Africa, black and white, could now also speak English, which was a kind of a bridge between different tribes. So within the diamond and gold rush, the different tribe members could work simultaneously on one spot. There were still fights, and there are still fights today, tribal fights, but they could at least talk to each other. But now that is their tradition, fighting, always looking for the enemy, fighting the enemy. And the problem we have now is that when the ANC became a revolutionary party organization with the PAC and other organizations, they had some help from the Russians, from the Chinese, and they trained these oaks to become a paramilitary kind of force. But instead of using them as guerrilla fighters, freedom fighters like we know, they developed a criminal system, a crime system. And the crime system became a self-sustainable military force, unconventional, self-sustainable military force. And they could carry themselves financially through drugs and prostitution. But the aim is to push the white Afrikaner out, because that's the rhetoric the young cannon fodder generations believe. They've got this Malema guy who can talk loudly and they are impressed by the way he talks and they follow the lead and they believe every word he says. And if he says the Afrikaners stole their land, that's their truth. They believe that. And the problem is now the government gave them opportunity to make land claims where they believe their land was stolen. And they can remember that the grandfather, maybe of the mother's side, worked on a farm 30 years, 40 years ago, and they claim it and says that was taken by the Boers. But the farmer says, no, we are on this farm for 150 years, or 200 years, or even more. So we know exactly there was no blacks here, and we've got the history, we've got a written history of where people were. But the black says, no, we claim it. So the white says no, the black says yes. And what they do, they find a white farmer who's got the best relationship with the black races. They take him and they will torture him over a period of 8 to 12 hours to death. For him, his family, his daughters, sons, wives, grandpa, grandmother, everybody who's on that farm will be tortured to death. So that the rest of the farmer says, listen, if this is what they do to one of their big friends, what are they going to do to my family? And then the farmer says, okay, take this land, but the government buy it from us, which happened. But all those land never goes back to the occupiers. It goes to the government. So they never gets a title deed for it. And that creates another friction. Now they want more. The problem, we talk about genocide. We don't have a genocide at this stage. What we do have is a asymmetrical war. Asymmetrical war is exactly that. It's an unconventional, unidentifiable army with an unidentifiable strategy and tactic. During my research, we went through these trainings they go through. And we've learned exactly how the tactics are, how they do the reconnaissance, how the planning is, how they finance farm attacks and home invasions in towns and in cities. So it's a military planned system, a very interesting, intricate system of self-sustainability. The danger we now have after the meeting with President Trump and the Americans is that the rhetoric which is now pushed to the cannon fodder generation is that The white Afrikaner is now joining forces with the Americans to push them into the sea. So now they are legally obliged or entitled to fight the white Afrikaners and push them back into the sea. If I take all this and bring it back, we need to see it from a wider perspective. And the wider perspective is that Africa is very rich in minerals. The wider perspective says that as long as a country is in conflict, the currency buying value is very weak. And the weaker the currency's value, the cheaper the minerals. So for all in the scramble for Africa, where we get America, England, Germany, France, China and Russia also, to them it is profitable to have this cannon fodder generation to think that they owe the right to kill all the whites. Because the moment when that happens, it gives America the license, the legal right to intervene into South Africa. It will definitely crush our currency, and it will make our gold and our minerals extremely cheap. And it will have also a negative influence in our neighboring countries, which is also profitable for America, for China, for Russia. So I think before we start concentrating on a genocide, we need to think, how can we educate the cannon fodder? Because those pure people are bred to die. They are bred to be used as cannon fodder. That's the truth. I think I'll make some more videos later, but this is more or less the background, I think. Thank you.